Good afternoon, team. What is going on? Want to talk about the number one question I'm getting right now is people are like, I guess we'll have to wait for the real estate crash, or, hey, when do you think the real estate market will slow down? Or something along those lines seems to be the major number one question, concern, thought on everyone's mind. And so I just want to talk about that in general. What happens when we're at a market top? What does that look and feel like? And, what should we be on the lookout for? And is that something that's likely to happen or not? Is it something that's likely to happen or not? So we're going to look at mortgage bonds. I'm going to do a live search for real estate. We're going to look at some real estate together. Let's see what people are seeing. Maybe there's something there that, will bring our attention to whether or not this market has any legs. Can prices keep going up? These are all the questions everyone's asking. So I'm going to start with interest rates because a lot of people believe that interest rates could still go lower. I agree. This is totally possible, but it would not be what I would bet on. If I were betting on this, I would be betting for interest rates to get worse. I'll show you why here. We go back to the beginning of the year. Remember, bond prices, these are mortgage bonds. Bond prices going down means rates are going up. So we've had this nice bounce here, but then we've retreated significantly here. And so you can see how this is sort of forming almost a perfect wedge. Oh, I'm off the screen. It's consolidation into what really looks like just almost a sure dump lower. And we do have, the Federal Reserve buying these bonds, and they could basically be putting in a floor right here. As you see, very little action happening the last few days after we had these 3 days of crushing post-inflation data. So right now, but you're still seeing like people are getting good rates. VA and FHA rates still in the twos for a lot of people with decent credit. Conforming conventional rates, close to 3%, high twos, low threes, and that percentage. So rates are still good. So even if this dump happens, it's not like rates are going to 5%. But we could see more threes, and we could see more fours. I think that is probably in the viewfinder. So if that happens, Derrick, aren't real estate prices going to get smashed? And last time, remember, we've already been down here. We've seen this. Practically had no effect. So when we ask, people are asking about the market crashing. Let's talk about crashing versus a slowdown. And I'm live right now. If you want to say hi, feel free to do so. What's up? If you have a comment or a question, throw it in there. So a slowdown would mean that, the frenzy pulls back a little. Right now we have still kind of a frenzy going on. I polled some people this week randomly. I like to do these randomly. I randomly polled some agent friends of mine who are active in the marketplace a lot. And a lot of the feedback that I got, what's up, Ben Biggs? Rolo Tomasi. What's going on, buddy? So a lot of the people I talked to, it was mixed. Some people said, yeah, it's still crazy. Other people said, you know what? There's still very strong offers coming in, but I'm getting less offers. People who had listings said, I expected this to be sold more quickly. And so when we see a little bit of a slowdown, does that mean a crash is impending? No, slowdown is what you're looking for. A slowdown right now is the opportunity. Look for a slowdown. Look for moments like right now. Like if you're a buyer, if you have a buyer that's discouraged, if you are a buyer who was discouraged by this marketplace, get in the saddle right now, and start looking at properties. Well, you know what? Let's look at some properties together. How about that? This is my favorite search to do, okay? Because the thing that's driving this is lack of inventory. But remember, meanwhile, this is happening all over the country. Inflation is definitely playing a role. But if there's a slowdown, what does that mean? Does that mean that it's going to crash? No. What does it take to crash? In order for real estate to crash, you would need everyone to think that real estate's going to go up. Okay, remember that a market can only crash once the last bear is done. The last naysayer, the last person who says the market's going to crash finally says, you know what? Get in. I've been wrong for years. Just get in, get in. It's going to go higher. When that last person does that and there's no one left to be negative, that's when markets crash. The same thing happens on the inverse side. Look at what's happening with Bitcoin right now. Everyone's saying Bitcoin's done, blah, blah, blah. Same thing happens with those cycles. Once everyone is finally on you can get some of the chat rooms and look at the chatter. It's all Bitcoin's dead. It's going to 30,000 or whatever. And that may happen. But when that many people get on the other side, when there are that many people bearish, that's actually when markets tend to go higher. Okay. So for real estate, I just did a simple search here in San Diego. I went up to 700,000. I used to do this search up to 500, sometimes 550. Just looking for a house, detached home, 3 beds, 2 baths, no square footage minimum. That's it. No other filters. You look at the map and you go, well, gosh, look, there's a whole bunch of houses on there. That's like a lot. Derrick, what are you talking about? Well, mind you, this is going from basically Oceanside, and we could probably zoom this out a little bit, but let's call this, it's going from basically Oceanside way, way, way east. I mean, San Isabel, Julian over here, Pine Valley is still in the picture here. Campo's even on the screen. Okay, this includes Campo. And there's 211 homes. Okay, 211 is the total. Now, to put that in perspective, we're seeing in a normal market 3,000 to 4,000 homes per month sold in San Diego. 3,000 to 4,000. We're not seeing that many right now, but we're still seeing a couple thousand. So if we only have 211 in this, what I would call now a pretty strong buyer price range, there's only 211. So what are the rest of them? This is up to 700. So they're 700 plus. What would happen if I increase this a little bit? At what point do we get to 1,000 or 2,000, or actually how many homes we're going to need for the month, just for the month? Now, you'll also notice, and what's interesting, and the reason why I like looking at properties on Redfin is because they give you some data. So you'll see these little, this orange hot indicator here. When you click on a hot home, and this is a great way to gauge the market. You click on a hot home, you can look at it and you can say, okay, this is a hot home. What does that mean? That means that their analytics are telling them that people are viewing this multiple times. They're coming back to it and they're looking at it over and over again. There's lots of people from lots of different places looking at this home in comparison to other homes that are the same price in the area. So we believe as Redfin that this data tells us this home is going to sell very quickly. And a lot of homes are hot homes, but there's also a lot of homes that aren't hot homes. There's homes that are not hot homes here. This one here is in La Mesa, 3-bed, 2-bath. Not a hot home. $689. Skylights, not too shabby. Here's one in National City, new construction, $650. Not a hot home. So that doesn't mean there won't be multiple offers, though. Don't get your hopes sold on that only hot homes are getting multiple offers. But a lot of these homes are hot. You can see, look at the orange. It's everywhere, everywhere. So there's a limited amount of homes that are for sale. So in order for real estate to crash, in order for San Diego real estate to crash and actually have like a significant drop in price, we would actually need I see you, Dave. Yeah, sad face for Bitcoin. We would actually need tremendous amount of inventory to hit the table. Where's that going to come from? Well, it's a great seller's market, Derrick, so maybe a lot of people would decide to sell their homes. But go where? That's the problem. A lot of people don't sell their home, even though people who've been thinking about it, even people who want to sell, because they go, well, gosh, we're getting paid to wait. The house goes up in value every year. Where are we going to go with our profits? We were just going to buy in the same market. We're going to be in the same situation. So what are we doing? If you're not distinctly moving up or moving down, it can be difficult to pull the trigger. So I zoomed this in, still including Hamul. Okay. I zoomed this in a little bit, 161 homes in that cluster right there. Let's zoom it out a little bit. Let's include, you see certain things just aren't even showing up. Let's zoom it out even further. Now we're really getting in there. Now we've got some Temecula homes in here even, and we're still only at 281. 281. That's nothing. It's not enough. It's just simply not, it's not enough. So this is what we're up against. We're up against an inventory crisis. It's not interest rates that's moving the market. There's inflation that is basically steroids into this situation. There is, and by the way, yes, real estate values do fluctuate. And someone made, a good argument with me today that, hey, well, real estate has gone up for 10 straight years. Cycles are supposed to be 7 to 10 years, tops. Something's got to change, but it's always different. Got to remember that it's always different. So I'll bet you the same person I was arguing with today, if real estate values over the next 2 years go up another 200,000, and then they drop 100,000 the following year, that person will claim they were right. Did you catch that math? See, that's the problem with, when too many people are bearish. There's too many real estate crash videos. There's too many people who don't believe that it's going to go higher. And here's the reason why that's a problem. Because what it does is it causes people who would be buyers to wait. So what you have then is you have a line, a stockpile of would-be buyers who are waiting for prices to go down. Meanwhile, prices are going up. And at a certain point, every single month, some of those buyers finally pull the trigger. And when those buyers finally pull the trigger, they're getting into the market at a much higher price than when they first started looking at it. I have tons of people who first started looking at this market a year and a half ago. It was completely different. If they had just blindly bought whatever, they would have made six figures by now. Now, that's not always going to be the case with real estate. For sure, that's not always going to be the case. But that's just the scenario that we're in. That's the scenario that we're in. A low inventory scenario, meaning there just aren't enough homes. There just aren't. And in order for that to change, we would need a lot of people to want to sell. What would cause a lot of people to want to sell? Well, maybe if prices went down a lot, maybe if something changed with the laws, maybe if there was some sort of sweeping legislation for California that was really anti-wage earner. I don't know. There would have to be something very, very macro that caused a lot of people to say, I want out of here, because there's already just macro, politically, and so forth. There's a lot of people who leave California for politics and things like that. They go to Tennessee, they go to Idaho, they go to Texas, they go to all these different places. Nevada, a lot of people going there. I've got 2 clients going there right now. So people already have that. So there is, we can't really say, well, a lot of people will just flee California. That's already happening and has been for some time. I mean, we have such a housing shortage that isn't even putting a dent in this. So where are you going to get a crash from? Where's that going to come from? We have people going back to work now. The economy is about to get re-fired up. Finally, we're going to be able to take those masks off that we all love so much. So comfortable, so awesome. So there's a lot of good things happening. Like these are things that are good for people to make money. These are good things for people to feel confident about what's going on. Maybe you could say there's some way that's going to take people's eye off of real estate because they'll be distracted by other things. That's the best counter argument to that I've heard. It's not a very good one. It's certainly not data driven. So the reality is that while it looks like on a map like this that there's a lot of homes for sale. I mean, this is going to Temecula, San Clemente's in here. 281 homes, 3-bed, 2-bath, detached house under $700K. 281 is not enough. So what you get is 2 things happen here. Number one, people still waiting on the sidelines. There are people who have still been waiting, who've been saying they're going to buy a house for 4 years. And all my agent friends out there, I know you have at least 1 or 2 of these people that you've been talking to for years. Oh, we're going to buy. Oh, we can't. It's too much. Oh, man, we can't. It's too much. Oh, man, we can't. It's too much. What'll happen is those particular buyers will either get priced out, or right before they get priced out, they'll panic buy. One of those 2 things will happen. If they get priced out, the reason why that's not bad for the market is because if the market comes back in, if we do go up 200,000 the next 2 years and then pull back 100,000 in the third year, as I gave an example of earlier, then that buyer will start paying attention. Okay, hey, maybe it's going to get down where we can afford it again. So that you build up this grouping of potential buyers who provide a base layer of support. Not to mention, we have a huge base layer of support in San Diego because we have a lot of big flipping companies here. The big flipping companies are really, really good for the market. They are. They're really, really good because they create great comps. They take ugly homes and turn them into pretty homes. It's a very, very good thing what they're doing. And I know not all of them do great work and there's controversy around that and so forth. Totally understand. But in general, what's happening is they're taking an ugly home and making it a pretty home. It's worth a lot more. That's good for a market. Okay, that's good for turnkey inventory. Like, I don't know where we'd be without them, to be honest with you. But it's helpful. And it also provides a huge base layer of support on the buy side. So we've got all kinds of support. We have, a room that's flush with money, inflation, and we have just hardly any homes here. There's hardly anything. A buyer told me, I always ask buyers who are getting pre-approved, what are you looking for? What is it that you're that you're looking for ideally, and how much do you want to spend? And I'm just trying to inject them with just like a little bit of reality right there. Like they might say, well, I want to keep my payment under $3,000. We want a pool, and they start going down that road. And I go, well, here's the thing. You're going to need your checkbook if you want a pool, because here's the situation. Have you looked online yet to see how much homes with pools are going for? And so I don't try to, poo-poo the situation by any means, but I try to let them know, like, okay, here's where we need to look. And then does this look good? And if you want a pool that you want to pay that much, maybe we need to go this way. It's like a townhome where you have a shared pool or something like that. So I just try to get them pointed in the right direction and get that a little reality to sink in. Right now, it's so scarce that literally, I think a lot of people who are buyers need to just essentially be like hunting. And I've never been hunting ever, which I know is crazy. I'm from Missouri. My boys know that I don't like to harm animals or anything. But this is basically like hunting. You go out to hunt for a deer, you sit there and you wait. You get totally ready. You have your gun or your bow, you have your ammunition, and you just have to wait. You get in position, you have all the stuff you need, and you wait and you look. And this is what buyers really need to do right now, is basically hunt for homes and get your agent involved in that hunt for you to try to find something off market, to try to go and beat the bushes. Hey, listen, if you're a buyer, you're a great tool for your agent to use to go find listings. Because if you're really serious about buying and you can put together a little letter, they can take that and they can go around, they can knock on doors. They can say, hey, listen, I have a buyer, I have a family here who's really, I have a military family here. I have an active duty seaman, sailor. I have someone here who really wants to buy a home. Is there any chance you'd be considering selling in the next 6 months? And they get to go and they get to take that, and that's marketing for them. So agents, if you're not using your buyers to go create listings, this is the perfect market to do it in. 100%. Make sure that you're doing that. And if you're a buyer, ask your agent if they're willing to do that for you, or if they have thought about doing that as a way for them to help find listings for themselves, but also as a way for them to maybe find the perfect home for you. Because if they can go around and look for a house for you, and they can, negotiate with the seller, maybe they can put together a really nice deal for everybody, where the seller can save a little bit on some commissions. And, that's always sexy. Sellers love that idea. And you have the buyer ready made. Here you go. We don't have to do any open houses, have anyone chasing through the house. There's deals happening like that every single day, every day. And fortunately, a lot of the agents that I work with hustle like that, and they've been helping our buyers get in on some of these things. So, know the reality of the situation. If you're a buyer, just be ready. Be ready. You're on the hunt. Pretend you're hunting. If you've ever hunted, that's what you're going to be doing now. Let's see what Leslie has to say. What's going on, Leslie? What I'm seeing, sellers often overprice their homes because of all the hype with this market, and buyers are pickier when paying top dollar. No crash coming. Hopefully a more balanced market. That'd be great. That'd be great. You make a great point, and thank you so much for bringing that up, Leslie, who's an amazing agent. So part of the reason that we were seeing the frenzy that we've seen for the last year is because sellers weren't actually sure how much their home was worth. They didn't really know. They were still kind of going off the old price, not the new price. So they were technically and unintentionally listing their homes for far less than what they were going to sell for. Now, unintentionally, what they did was they added to the frenzy of everything, because if everyone underpriced their home by 10% on the market, what would happen? You're going to get more people who want to see it. You're going to get more people writing offers. So you're getting situations where the listing agent's going, hey, I've got 25 offers here, but really only 2 or 3 of them are really in the running. And so it creates this massive frenzy. Now, sellers are getting a little more hip. Agents are guiding sellers a little bit more accurately. And so what's happening is sellers are pricing their homes a little bit closer to what they would actually sell for in a red hot market like this. And what happens when you do that is, my expectation, and what I got from the poll and all the information I was telling you about earlier, is that there's going to be less offers. You're going to have a little bit less frenzy, because that house that is now listed for $799, which would have been listed for $699, a lot of people aren't even seeing it. It's not hitting their search criteria. It's not showing up. They're not even considering it, because the house has been listed for closer to where it's going to sell. This, I think, is good for the market for a lot of reasons. But that's the reason that you're going to see less offers. You're going to see a little bit less activity out there. because sellers are pricing their homes closer to where they believe it will actually end up in a red hot market. What they're not realizing, that part of the reason why the frenzy was created, part of the reason why sellers were getting such great, home prices, is because they listed it so low. And I don't want to encourage agents to, list homes low, but it's a great marketing technique. It just is. It works, and it helps generate activity, which helps generate frenzy, which helps generate mania, which helps generate amazing, some would say ridiculous offers. So now that that's happening less, we are going to see a little bit of a slowdown, I believe, in the activity and the number of offers you're going to be seeing per property, and just overall the activity will reduce. That said, prices are still going to go higher. There's nothing that can stop that. There's too much inflation taking place. There's too much concern. Remember the Federal Reserve warning us about stock market? Yeah. There's too much concern about stocks and where they might be headed here in the interim. In fact, Jim Cramer just said today he expects stocks to go much lower. He's almost always right when he says that, because he's a perma-bull. I mean, the guy is always bullish. So if he ever gets bearish, you should listen to him. I already said my piece on that in multiple videos previously, but check with your financial advisor about rebalancing, reallocating, and things along those lines. So there's going to be more money coming into real estate, and particularly in San Diego. And just to update you, this is, for anyone who might be just joining now or just seeing this, this is homes for sale up to $700,000, detached house, 3-bed, 2-bath, no filter for size, no other filters. That's it, 281. And we need thousands. We need like 2,000 to 3,000 of these, in my opinion, to be like a really healthy market. I mean, we are way, way, way thin. And the only other market I've seen like this was San Francisco. I remember it very clearly about 10 years ago, going up there to see my buddy. The market was unbelievably crazy. I think we are headed there. I've been saying this for years. San Diego, greater than San Francisco in every possible way. It's just way better. The weather's better. The vibe is better. Everything's better here. And eventually people are going to figure that out. I've been saying that for 10 years. Eventually people are going to figure that out. They're going to want to leave there. They're going to come here. Now we have remote work things going on. A lot more people coming to San Diego who have great incomes from jobs that they are working elsewhere. And I think that trend is also going to continue. So every single thing that stacks up does not tell me that we are in a position for even a potential crash to happen. Maybe it's a little slowdown. That would make sense. Remember, based on what we're talking about, the pricing of homes, where they're being priced at. Maybe a little bit of a slowdown. Opportunity, if that's the case. Otherwise, this is really a market that you have to just hunt. If you're a buyer looking, in this market, you have to hunt. Pretend you're hunting for a deer. You're going to have to sit there for 5 hours in the dark until you see something. And then when you see it, you're going to have to be careful. You're going to have to take the right steps. So the preparation, to go back to the hunting metaphor, the preparation, having your gun, having your ammunition, having your field dressing, and everything that you need for your hunt, your snacks and your hot tea or whatever, you got to do the same thing now with getting prepared to buy a home. Pre-approval in place, proof of funds ready to go, DU ready to go, even an underwriting approval. If you have a lower credit score, or if you're a manual underwrite, FHA, VA loan, have your, and this is what we're doing for my team, this secrets out of the bag, whatever. We are going to be pre-underwriting any FHA or VA deal with a lower credit score that doesn't fire a DU. So since we don't have a DU to hand over, we're going to hand over an underwriting approval. Look, already been reviewed by an underwriter. Loan is already approved at this price point. We just need to put the address in, and then we can finish this thing up. It'll help us close quicker, but more importantly, it'll show the strength that we need. And I would recommend that for agents out there, if you're working with buyers who have a lower credit score, don't have a DU, manual underwriting situation, go ahead and get that underwritten and have an underwriting approval that you can hand over with your offer, because we're still going to be facing multiple offers, even if it's only 3 or 4, or 5 or 6 instead of 50. You're still going to be in multiple offer situations. So it's going to be tough to get a low credit score, no appraisal bridge offer through. So every little bit that you can do is going to be helpful here. So it's just, we're not, the real estate market is not going to crash until the last bear has left the room. And there are so many bears. If you just go on YouTube, let's do it. Go on YouTube and let's type in real estate crash. Let's see what happens here. So here you go. I mean, just over and over and over, you're seeing people talking about, I don't know why this one's on there. That's interesting. 2021 housing market crash. By the way, if you had searched this last year, and I search this all the time just to see what people are saying. It's really, really interesting. People said the 2020 housing market crash is still coming. Now they're saying the 2021 housing market crash is still coming. This is, something that's happening all the time. How the crash will happen. Here it is. This is how I believe the crash is going to take place. I don't think that you're going to see a crash anytime soon. We may see one eventually for a catalyst that I haven't seen yet, or that I don't know exists yet, but we're not going to see one in the near future. So that's all I can tell you for sure. There's no catalyst. And there's too many things on the other side of the coin that are fighting against it. There's too many people that are bearish. Look at all these people who are talking. I mean, there's tons of these, by the way. If you go into the rabbit hole, click on one of these, and then once you've clicked on a video that says real estate crash in it, then you'll get a bunch of other videos about the real estate crash. And I don't want to start a video right now, but basically that's what happens. You can see there's just so many people who are bearish on real estate still that there's no way that we can crash. The only way we crash is if we get massive inventory, and I don't know how we get that based on the data that we've got. So don't expect a real estate crash. Try to make a long-term game plan, because the problem is if we wait and we have no real estate strategy, in other words, we're not saving money to eventually purchase a home with, we're just renting for the maximum amount we can cash flow afford every month. The problem with that is we're throwing away too much money each year. If we're spending $3,000 a month on rent, we're throwing away $36,000 a year. So you've got a rental crash. You're self-inflicting a rental crash, because that's going to cost you $100,000 over 3 years, for sure. And that would be a crash in housing, wouldn't it be? If you lost $100,000. So you're self-inflicting an automatic and guaranteed real estate crash if you're renting without a real estate strategy. You got to have a home ownership strategy, which could be real estate. Usually it's going to be primary real estate, but it could be other real estate. And we've talked about different options with regard to that. And I want to just thoroughly answer that question, because it has come up too much lately. And, for me, analyzing this data on a regular basis, being on the ground level, working with people and seeing what's going on. Thank you for this. Rolo likes my sound effects. What's up, Rolo? I appreciate it, my friend. Philippe, what's going on? Real estate inspection company, Philippe Heller. They do a tremendous job. If you're a buyer looking to buy a home, get your inspection with those guys. They crush it. Bunch of interesting things coming soon. Sit tight, be smart with your investments. Pay attention to what's going on. And as far as real estate is concerned, if you aren't in the game, you need to have a strategy to get in the game. I'm happy to help you figure that out. In fact, that's what I do. I primarily work with veterans who are using the VA benefit to buy a refi. But if you want to create a real estate strategy that's sound, that makes sense, and that will work for your life, your plan, your retirement strategy needs to have real estate involved. So if you don't have it, we need to figure out how to get it for you. And whether it's today, tomorrow, a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, whatever it is, we need to have a roadmap for that. If you do, then everything's okay. Even if you have to rent for now, for a year, for 2 years, for 3 years, so that we can save up enough money to get you into a home. Even if you have to do that, that's okay. That's okay. Not everyone can go out and pull the trigger and buy something today, but everyone can get in the game. Everyone can. And at the end of the day, everyone who does wins in the long run. That's what time has showed us. And the beauty is you have a clock. Okay, we're getting a 30-year loan. So would you rather start that 30-year clock as soon as possible or kick the can down the road? If you had a 30-year clock, a timer to your financial freedom, because once you own your home free and clear, you're set, right? I mean, the rest of everything else is simple. So if we can get you there, I know you're going to be okay. And that's my goal, is to get you there. So if you have questions about that, give me a shout, text, call, email. I'm available. Happy to help anytime. You guys have an amazing Tuesday evening, and I will see you soon.